Happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome to the live stream experience. I'm Carissa.
And I'm Steve, and we're going to be your hosts today. We're your team. We're just so thankful that you guys are joining us this morning, taking some time out of your morning to just get filled up, kind of fueled up with God's Word. We're really excited about everything that God has for us this morning.
Yes. So first of all, we wanted to update you if you haven't heard about the newest addition to the Well Church family. Luke Owen Parks was born this past Friday, 7 pounds, 12 ounces. Both mom and baby are doing fine. So congratulations to Chris, Elizabeth, and big brother Patrick. We also wanted to give a quick shout out to Pastor Scott and Charity, who celebrated their 11th anniversary yesterday. So congratulations, Scott and Charity. We love you guys. Steve, can you share with our viewers a little bit more about the Well?
Sure thing. The Well Church is just awesome. I think that we just have a really genuinely loving church that I've just been so proud of the way that we've handled these last few months. And we're just a church that's here for our community and here for each one of you guys, no matter where you are in your relationship with God.
Yep. So if you're a skeptic,
Hey,
yeah, whatever.
That too.
If you're a skeptic, or if you're a believer, or if you're somewhere in between, you already belong. The only condition we have at our church is no perfect people are allowed. We're all imperfect, so you're all invited.
Yep. Or in the words of Chris, nobody's perfect but you.
Oh.
Carissa, you're the one.
Nod to Chris Parks.
Not to Chris. If you're out there, Chris, I know he's got a baby probably in his arms right now. All right, so do you want to check in anyways and see what's going on with our peeps?
Let's see. Okay, good morning to the Yoders. We see you. Good morning, Shingy. Clark's watching us. Good morning. Good morning, Claire and Ellen. Good morning, Robbins. Okay, who else is here? Chris Brady's watching. Good morning. Wow, so good to see all of you guys on here. Fantastic.
Cool. So, Carissa saw all those people, and that's what we like. So, anyways, we are at almost the middle of July, right, guys?
Crazy.
It's been like we went from pretty mild spring to a pretty scorching hot summer. So, our question for you today is this. What is your favorite way to beat the heat?
Go ahead and storm the comments section with your absolute favorite way to cool down on a sweltering day. Steve, what's your favorite way to cool down?
Well, I'm kind of lame. Honestly, I just like to sit inside the AC. 75 is my temperature. That's my perfect temperature. Give me I know you guys all think I'm a plumber, I'm tough, I'm manly. Give me my couch, 75 degrees, and a book, and I'm happy.
Nice. All right, if I had to say my favorite way, I probably would agree that I like sitting in the air conditioning, but I do like a glass of iced coffee or my favorite iced tea. So go ahead and storm the comment section and weigh in on this topic. We want to see all your creative ways to beat the heat. Hopefully they're more creative than ours. So Steve, what do our viewers need to do to get ready for this experience?
Personally, I like to have a cup of coffee in my hand, just kind of sit back, relax, breathe. Let's just take this in. I think God has something good for us. If you are out there watching with a watch party, which I know that a lot of you guys are there, share this with on Facebook. We just want to hear from you guys. So, let's do this.
Yes, absolutely. So we want to hear from you. We encourage you to interact with us and each other during today's experience. It's okay to talk in church. So in the comments section during the message, anytime, share your thoughts, questions, emojis, whatever. It's really okay to chat in the comments during the message. All right, let's see. Oh, okay. So people are weighing in on the ways they like to cool down. And I see a lot of ice creams. Ooh. I see a mint julep. I see AC and ice cream, so combining the two, perfect. I see a lot of ACs, so we're not alone in just,
AC's the way to be. AC and ice cream sounds good, though. I might up my game. AC, ice cream, and a book.
Yes.
Awesome.
That sounds good.
Well, guys, thanks for commenting. Keep it coming. Let's stay engaged during the sermon there. So, Carissa, can you tell us about how our viewers can connect with the well during the service.
Absolutely. So the Well community is here for you. Do you need help? Do you want to get more involved? You can comment, but an easy way for us to stay in touch is through our digital connection card. So fill it out. Whether this is your first time joining the Well or your 100th time, the connection card is a great way to start or continue the conversation. You can tell us how to pray for you, get access and info, more about the content, and more.
Yep, and if you'd like, Carissa and I can pop at your door and ring
No.
your doorbell. No, nobody's
Don't
going to
scare
come to
them.
you. Nobody's going to come to your door, but we are giving away $5 Hayward's gift cards, and we are also giving away a $25 Amazon gift
I
card.
think it's $225.
Oh, two of them?
Yeah.
There it is.
Bring it.
So fill out that connection card, and you will have a chance to win. I'd actually like to know who's already won. So in the comments, if you've won the $5 or the $25, let us know. I'm just curious. So, Carissa, we're about to head into the message. Is there anything else the viewers need to know?
Yes, so make sure to tap the link online message notes in the comments to follow along using an app called YouVersion.
Yeah, again, we read it all, so don't forget, it's okay to talk, comment, ask questions, share emojis in the comment section. Someone from the Well team will respond. So we really do look forward to your comments.
Yes. So right now, let's take a moment to welcome Pastor Scott as he shares today's message.
Hey everybody, Pastor Scott here from the Well Church, and as you can see, we are outside today. Welcome. We're in a park called Mine Falls Park, and we're gonna have all sorts of nature noises and maybe some unnatured noises happening today with a little plane going by. But we're really glad to get you outside because we realize, man, nobody wants to be inside in the summer. So I'm gonna bring you outside today. So welcome, whether you're local, national, or global, we want you to be a part of our family today. So go ahead and participate in the comment section and like, share, subscribe wherever you are. And the more you do, the more people get a chance to hear this message of hope. Well, we're in the series called Reset, where we are resetting our life. We're using this disruption of a season as an opportunity to really reset on what's most important. So we're glad that you're here. Today we're gonna talk about resetting your awareness. I was away for a couple weeks out in Maine with my family, just enjoying, right on the edge of a lake. It was awesome. But in the middle of it, I realized fresh that my oldest daughter, and I struggle with the same thing. We hate missing out. We'll do anything to get that next adventure and fill our life with the most fun. And so on vacation, man, it's a great opportunity for us to be like, man, how do we cram the day with so much fun? Well, got to the point where we were exhausted, couldn't take it anymore. We were so tired, and yet Eden didn't want to miss out at all. All she wanted to do was fill it with the next thing. Her eyes were all red and puffy. I mean, she was a bit loopy, and we said, hey, Eden, we think you need to take a nap. No way, Dad. Eden actually would rather eat glass than take a nap, okay? So that's how much she doesn't want to miss out on things. But we talked with her, we worked with her, and it got to the point where she just refused, and a massive meltdown ensued. It was a rough moment there, but I mean, I resonate with this. Because sometimes, man, I can just fill my days, I can fill my weeks with so many things that I just don't stop long enough to actually catch my breath and almost let my humanity catch up with who I am, my soul, And I think our FOMO in life, our constant busyness, even just our connectivity online, the distractions around us from the news and the reopening to, all the kids that we have to give our attention to, all of that can kind of almost steal our soul. We don't create enough quiet moments to just listen to our bodies and listen, maybe more importantly, to God. So as we talk about resetting our awareness today, we're going to follow the Apostle Paul as he kind of brings us to the end of his letter to the Colossians, and he's going to invite us to engage in prayer in a way that actually really resets the game on what's most important in life, because that's what's at stake. When we're constantly distracted and busy and hurried all the time, We miss out on what's most important and give ourselves to all sorts of little things that add up and maybe don't actually make a real difference. So that's where we're going to go today. We're going to talk about reset your awareness on what's most important by engaging in the lifestyle of prayer. Well, here's where Paul goes in chapter 4, starting in verse 2. He says, devote yourselves to prayer, being watchful and thankful. Devote. I had to look up the word devote. What does it actually mean? And this is amazing. It says, devote means to give constant attention to associate closely with or continuously with, to stay close with in relationship with. It's to give constant attention to. He says, if you're not going to miss anything in your life with God, this is the one thing that I don't want you to miss. Prayer. Be devoted to prayer, constant attention to. But we struggle with this. I mean, before we really even get into the power of prayer, we struggle with this because prayer means we got to stop. To give constant attention to something, man, we got to pause in moments throughout the day to actually listen and stop the hurry. We really struggle with this. I've been reading a book called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. And in it, the author, John Mark Comer, he talks about how we have just built a lifestyle of filling every waking moment of our day with something. And he takes us on a history of the clock to the light bulb getting artificial light in our life, where we're not actually paying attention to the rhythms of the sun waking us up and going to bed when the sun goes to bed. Instead, now we got artificial light, so we can just be awake at all times. And you add the 2007 iPhone into that and everything that's happened since then, man, and we fill every waking moment, every single moment. We eliminate boredom, no more boredom at the grocery store checkout lines or doctor's offices or planes. Like, we just eliminate it all. And we never stop long enough. We never stop long enough to just catch our breath and let God speak to us in this moment, because we have hurried our life and our spirit. We don't stop long enough to actually catch what this is doing to us as humans. But it's decreasing our capacity at a brain level. Studies are showing that it reduces someone's working memory or problem-solving skills to constantly be connected online. We're addicted. It's actually these iPhones, these smartphones, they're engineered to be addictive. Sean Parker, the first president of Facebook, that left Facebook, actually became a conscientious objector to social media because he realized that this was their goal. This is, how do we consume as much of your time and conscious attention as possible? He knew that was the goal. Because if they get your attention, man, they get your profit. Your attention means money to them, and so what they do is they give this kind of social feedback loop that gives you dopamine hits that keeps you glued to your phone. Your attention means money to them. But the reality is, all of this has also reduced our attention span. We went from a 12-second attention span back in 2000 to an 8-second attention span nowadays, which is actually less than a goldfish. Goldfish has 9-second attention spans. Congratulations, humanity. Goldfish have now beat us in the attention game. Can you believe it? I mean, look, I'm not advocating for an Amish lifestyle or being an alarmist and all that. I love the maps on my GPS, podcasts. I love all that. But, man, can we stop long enough to remember what the most important things are? Here's what prayer does. When Paul says devote yourselves to prayer, he also says be watchful. Being watchful and thankful. What prayer does, we pray to get God's big picture. That's what it does. It wakes us up. It helps us get the big picture of God. So, man, if you're watching it, I just encourage you, go ahead and type big picture in the comment section. Just write big picture, because that's what prayer does. He says, be devoted, give constant attention to this, because we have been conditioned in our world, as researcher Linda Stone says, to give continuous partial attention. And, man, it's destroying us. But when we're devoted to prayer, when we're giving constant attention to this, it's actually rebuilding us as humans. It's rehumanizing us instead of dehumanizing us, and helping our souls kind of catch up with who we are. And so Paul says, man, I want you to be devoted to prayer, being watchful and thankful. This is what it does. And we've got to catch what prayer does, because sometimes we don't pray because we don't remember what it actually does. Prayer is kind of like the first thing in our spiritual life to go, ironically. But Paul says this is what happens when you pray. You're watchful and you're thankful. Watchful, the word there actually means to wake us up, to be aroused from sleep. And that's the most amazing thing about it is like it brings us out of slumber, out of a state of not being awake. And let me just give you one thing that I feel like guys in particular have become completely asleep on. We're gonna pick on video games for a second, okay? Because the average teenager spends 13 hours a week on video games. Leading up to age 21, that means 10,000 hours. The average kid, 10,000 hours on video games. I mean, do you know what you can do with 10,000 hours? You can get an undergrad degree, you can get a graduate degree, you can memorize the whole New Testament with 10,000 hours. Guys, what are we giving ourselves to? And is it possible that we have lost what's most important in life because we've given ourselves to a continuous partial attention to what matters only a tiny little bit when some of these things are taking us away from what's most important? Paul says we gotta wake up. And prayer, stopping, being with God, having those pause moments in your workday where you're not just work, you're actually pausing. Maybe when you're doing laundry, you're stopping, and in that moment you're remembering God. You're fixing your gaze on Him. Man, Charity and I, we've had to stop. We've actually cut out TV at night just so that we can get a little bit more of a restful spirit. We've paused more throughout the day, not just trying to cram our calendars with stuff, but actually stop long enough to hear from God. And man, I tell you what, we don't miss it yet. We don't miss the TV. We don't miss all the social media that we had done before, because we're giving continuous attention to God, and it's waking us up. But it also makes us thankful. And when we remember what God has done in gratitude for what He's already done, man, it changes the game. I mean, it's easy in this COVID-19 to remember only what we're missing. You know, maybe I'm missing my job that I got fired from. I'm missing the time with people, church life the way that it was before. I mean, it's so easy to miss all sorts of things. But man, in gratitude, we remember what God has already done for us. And when we reflect on His track record in the past, it reminds us, man, He will take care of us in the future. And some of you, all you need to do today is you got to remember, God's going to take care of you. He loves you. He's going to take care of you. So man, devote yourselves to prayer. Well, I invited our sister Christy to actually give us a reflection today on what prayer has actually done for her, how powerful that's been for her in her life to kind of bring her back to what's most important. So I invite you to go ahead and check out Christy's story now.
Hi. So Scott asked me to talk about my experience with the power of prayer and its ability to provide perspective and direction. So prayer definitely gives me the perspective that I am not and should not be in control, right? It's very hard to accept, especially being the independent person that I am. I have a hard time accepting help a lot, and honestly, if anything needs to be done, then I'll do it, no problem. I can do it myself. But I am very glad that God is the one who's in control. Because as the caring and good father that He is, He guides my steps. He shows me how He uses my mistakes and uses the unfortunate events around me to really shape me and prepare me for life. That's what a good parent does, right? They shape their children. That's what God does for us. So I honestly, without prayer and without consistent time in His Word, I would be aimlessly trying to make sense of this all and wondering where God is in all of this. Confident prayer, not necessarily answered prayer, is what connects me to God and His unfailing truths and the faithfulness that He provides as our shepherd, as my shepherd. So I'll be praying for you all. Bye.
Thank you, Christy, so much for sharing that with us. I love it. We are so encouraged by your example and just leaning into God and taking those pause moments in your life. Well, we talked about praying to get God's bigger picture, but there's more to it. Paul actually invites us to a second reason to pray, and that's not just to get the bigger picture, but to actually participate in what matters most, to participate in His mission. So this is at the end of the letter, and he continues in verse 3, and he says this. He says, pray for us too, that God may open a door for our message so that we may proclaim the mystery of Christ, for which I am in chains. Remember, Paul's writing this letter from prison, and it's because of his active sharing of the gospel, the good news of Jesus, that he's actually in prison. He says, pray that I may proclaim it clearly as I should. And then he says, I don't want this just to be my life. He says, I want this to be about you too. He says, so be wise in the way that you act towards outsiders. Make the most of every opportunity. Let your conversation be always full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everybody. I love this. Paul is inviting us to pray to get God's bigger picture, but to also participate in what God is doing in the world. And with his last few letters in this, last few words in this letter, he's actually saying, man, this is what's most important. And I love what Paul doesn't pray for in this. He doesn't say, man, I invite you to pray for the safety of your life, that that you can just kind of be real safe and comfortable. Pray that you have a big house or all sorts of land and opportunities. He doesn't pray for that. I mean, he says, what do I want you to pray for? I want you to pray that I be bold and clear in proclaiming this message of Christ, for which I'm in chains. He knows that this is an uncomfortable thing because, man, he's chained. He's got shackles on him for doing this. But why does he do it? He says, man, this is what's most important. It's not about our wealth, it's not about our health, and it's not about our safety or our riches or anything like that. Life is about participating in the rescue mission of Jesus Christ. Because for as much as people have been threatened physically by the virus, and marriages have been struggling, and people have lost a lot of income and comfort in this season, and social connectivity, those things are all they're hard. And we struggle, and we've experienced extreme loss in that, and God has asked us to participate in helping people recover in those too. But the most important thing is that there are thousands and millions of people all over the world that have yet to receive a relationship with Christ, to actually embrace the forgiveness that he so freely offers us, and spend an eternity with the promise that we're going to be a part of the family of God. Paul says that is what's most critical about life. And if we give ourselves to all sorts of tiny little things with continuous partial attention to TV and video games and endless work hours and even just working out and getting our body in the best shape, but miss out on this, man, we've missed out on the most important thing. He says, I want you to pray about this. It's about declaring the freedom that we have in Christ. Demonstrating this in your life is to be wise in the way that you interact with outsiders. Paul put it in a different letter in 2 Corinthians chapter 5. He says, we are ministers, we are agents of reconciliation. That God is actually proclaiming his message of freedom to the world through you and through me. We've got to see ourselves that way. Jesus said, when you pray, man, pray not just that life would be comfortable for you, but that his kingdom, God's kingdom, would come first. Your kingdom come, your will be done. That's the urgent need in our world today. And so when we think about making the most of every opportunity, it's not just this whole FOMO of trying to squeeze everything in, and someone says, man, you got to check out this latest show. You can't miss it. It's so good. And like, okay, I got to squeeze that in. I got to read this book. I got to travel to this country. I got to work this many hours because that's what's going to give me life. I got to pursue this dating relationship. I mean, just cramming your life, right? All these things, they can be good things, but they're not the most important thing. Jesus says, man, I want you to focus on this. Charles Chu, which was an American researcher, he says, this is crazy. The average American spends 705 hours on social media yearly. And on a TV, this is nuts, 2,700 hours every year. Guys, when I think about making the most opportunities, we've got to wake up, we've got to be watchful, we've got to devote ourselves to God, so that in those moments when we devote ourselves to God, we don't miss a single opportunity with the people that God has put us around in life, okay? No joke, the other day, Charity and I, we hit the end of the workday, and we had just had dinner, and we've been taking these after dinner walks with our kids just to kind of get a little extra energy out, put them to bed. Hopefully they can sleep, right? That's kind of the ongoing battle for parents. But we took this after dinner walk. I'm exhausted. We went out to this park, and we hit the park, and the kids are running around a little bit. And in the park, we noticed that there's this dad who's wandering around with his little boy. And he all written all over his face was like the social fatigue of not seeing anybody. And so he was looking around for anybody to talk to. And his little boy, who's about 1.5 years old, he comes wandering over because he sees my little boy, Caleb. And I know what's about to happen. They're going to want to talk with us. Look, I'm in no place to talk to anybody, okay? I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to be me. I'm exhausted. I want it my zone and nothing else, because I'm an awesome pastor, okay? Look, we all have those moments. He comes over and he starts talking, and I'm like trying to redirect and like just, really focus on my kids. But I'm telling you, I'm so proud of Charity. She didn't miss a moment there because she was so in tune with God, what God wanted to do, and she'd fully engaged in a conversation with this guy. We ended up having this incredible spiritual conversation where he shared with us that he had just moved here a year ago with his family, that they were looking for a life-giving community and had even tried church even though they weren't spiritual or religious or anything. And we started telling him about our church where no perfect people are allowed, and we just journey through life together pursuing Jesus. And he's like, man, I'd love to be a part of that. Man, when you guys open up again, I'm there. Charity didn't miss a moment. She made the most of every opportunity because she wasn't focused on what she wanted in that moment, but on what God was doing. And her awareness of what God was doing in that moment, being devoted, constant, continual attention to God, being watchful, aroused from sleep, and thankful for what God had done, made her not miss a single moment. I love that. This is how it works, guys. When we're tight with God, we're going to get tight with people around us and the needs of people around us. Jesus modeled this so beautifully for us in Mark 5, where in the middle of the chaos and the distractions and the disruptions around him, he was able to see needs that nobody else saw. There was crowds around him. There was urgent pleas to do this, do that. There was a dad who said, man, you got to heal my daughter right now. And so Jesus is wandering through the crowd trying to respond to all of this. And with everybody crowding around him and so many distractions and things that he can give himself to, guess what happened? Man, Jesus caught the fact that there was a lady in need in the middle of all the craziness. In the middle of all of that, he felt power go out of him. He was aware of God even in the middle of the crazy and the chaos. He was aware of God, and it made him in tune with the need of a woman who'd actually been caught in a health crisis for the past 12 years that left her socially marginalized and isolated. And in that moment, Jesus was so in tune with God that he actually healed this woman and spoke directly to her in the middle of the chaos. Guys, when you're in tune with God, we're not going to miss a single opportunity. And we can present the message of God with grace, seasoned with salt, bringing the truth of God to bear in someone's life so that they too may receive a full and lasting relationship with God, receive the forgiveness that Christ so freely offers us. Guys, what are you giving yourself to? Is your spirit constantly hurried and busy? Have you created any margin in your life whatsoever to actually stop, pause, and hear from God? Or are you just exhausted? Well, here's what I want to do. I want to invite you now, as our band plays, to just reflect. Maybe you're with some other people, in a watch party in a home somewhere, or maybe you're by yourself, but I just want you to get honest with yourself in this moment and ask yourself, man, what are some of the things that maybe I need to cut out of my life? Some things that I literally need to say no to so that I can pause long enough and create some margin to hear from God. Take a moment, talk about that. Listen to this song, let it pour over you, and we'll finish up in just a second.
How great the chasm that lay between us, how high the mountain I could not climb. In desperation, I turned to heaven and spoke your name into the night. Then through the darkness, your my soul. The work is finished, the end is written. Jesus Christ, my living hope. Who could imagine so great a mercy? What heart could fathom such boundless grace? The God of ages stepped down from glory to wear my sin and bear my shame. The cross has spoken, I am forgiven. The King of Kings calls me his own. Beautiful Savior, I'm yours forever. Jesus Christ, my living hope. Oh, hallelujah, praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah, death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope. Then came the morning that sealed the promise. Your buried body began to breathe. Out of the silence, the roaring lion declared the grave has no claim on me. Then came the morning that sealed the promise. Your buried body began to breathe. Out of the silence, the roaring lion declared the grave has no claim on me. Jesus, yours is the victory. Yes, hallelujah, praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah, death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope. Oh, hallelujah, praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah, death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope. Jesus Christ, my living hope. Oh God, you are my living hope.
Boy, when I think about the impact of all of this, I think it's no wonder that so many people have lost touch with God personally. So many people have been distracted, by all the sorts of busyness in life, and I think, we've probably missed out on the greatest threat to someone's being in touch with God personally. There's a guy named Andrew Sullivan who wrote an article about his life and how he had gotten into the rat race of the working world and been so distracted by his phone and technological uses and just the needs of other people, and given himself to all these things at such a crazy pace that he actually took a massive time out in his life. And out of that, and getting real quiet and silent and giving himself to just a completely undistracted life, he kind of came up with this, and I thought this was just so good. We need to reflect on this. He wrote this: modernity slowly weakened spirituality. by design and accident, in favor of commerce. It downplayed silence and mere being in favor of noise and constant action. The reason we live in a culture increasingly without faith is not because science has somehow disproved the unprovable, but because the white noise of secularism has removed the very stillness in which it might endure or be reborn. And this is chilling for us, ready? If churches today came to understand that the greatest threat to faith is not hedonism, but distraction, perhaps they might begin to appeal anew to a frazzled digital generation. Friends, prayer brings clarity in a world of distraction. We've got to pause long enough so that we can actually reconnect with our Maker, with our Author, who loves us and gave His life for us in the middle of the chaos so that we could have a relationship with Him forever. Maybe there's some of you watching today that you realize, man, I've never even known what it's like to connect with God. I have no idea what it means to be in relationship with Him and to talk with Him. Man, I want to give you an opportunity right now to do that. And for all of us watching, whether you've considered yourself a Christian for a long time or not, I want to have all of us take a moment to get right with God and say, you know what? I'm not going to be distracted anymore. I'm going to take some time right now to get right with you, God, and to start spending more time with you. To begin a relationship with God, it's real simple. It's leaning into what He's done for you on your behalf, dying the death that we needed to die because of our sin and our rebellion and our selfishness that separated us from God, leaning into that death so that we could receive His forgiveness completely and be restored to a relationship with Him forever. Not based on what you've done, but based on what He's done. So I'm going to lead you in a prayer right now, and if this is true about you, man, I just want you to know today is the day that you can begin a relationship with Jesus. So let's pray. God, I want to thank you that in the middle of all the chaos and the confusion, you still cared about us enough. You were in tune with our needs enough to not leave us alone in it. But that you sent your Son into this world to die the death that we needed to die. God, we confess that we've been selfish, we've been rebellious, we have not paid attention to you, constant attention to you, God. We've been distracted by our own ego and our own pride and all sorts of things, God, that have left us doing things that are far less than most important. God, and we ask your forgiveness, and we receive your forgiveness in Jesus. We believe that He is the Son of God. We believe that He died in our place. And we believe that in trusting in Him, we can have a relationship with you forever, God. And we look forward to beginning the life that's going to start today and forever for all eternity as we trust Him and follow Him. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, man, if that's your heart today, man, I just want to celebrate with you, and I'm going to ask you to do something simple. If you've made that decision for the very first time today, I just want you to text the words, respond now, to the number 97,000. Respond now to 97,000, to respond now to God and begin a relationship with Him. Because we want to celebrate with you in the biggest decision you can ever make in your life. And we want to get you next step resources to help you engage in this relationship with God, what that actually means for your life. We're excited. Well, I'm excited for all of us as we continue to take next steps this week to pause, stop, slow down, and actually give more of our attention to God. Next week, as we finish up our series Reset, we're going to talk about resetting your commitment to your church family. We've all missed being together and worshiping together, spending time face to face together. We're going to talk about, man, what does this really look like? Because church has never been a building. It's always been about a people. So what does that look like? You're not going to want to miss it. It is our last one in our series Reset. So tune in with that. I'm going to hand it over to our host today. We're going to close this out and give you a few next steps for this week.
Wow, that was a fantastic message. Thank you all again for the wonderful conversation in the comments. Something that was said in the message that I'm going to be kind of mindful of this week is to put a pause on my own agenda and really be ready to lay down whatever it is I think I need, whether it be quiet time or whatever, in favor of serving somebody else and kind of being in tune for God's voice through the week. So that just was really powerful to me. What about you, Steve?
He said that prayer brings clarity, and I felt like that's really been hitting me. I think that we get so distracted by everything, and those distractions really almost drain us. But the clarity is almost life-giving, you know? So when we pause, we think about God, it's like we're almost recharging in a better way. So, and I'm proud of you, Charity. That was really cool, that story, when you guys were at the park. So awesome. So Carissa, how about online giving? How do we do that?
Yes, so we want to invite everyone to join us and give generously. You can give online at thewellnewhampshire.org/give, where you can give a one-time gift or automate your giving. You can also give via text by texting the $ and amount to 84321.
Cool. And we know that not everybody likes to interact publicly during the live stream. That's me. That's another great reason to fill out the digital connection card. So again, whether you're a new friend joining us or you consider yourself a part of the Well Church family, take that next step and go ahead and fill that out. So.
Yes, so we also want to let you know that starting this week on Wednesday, we'll be gathering at Greeley Park in Nashua from 5:30 to 7:30. And starting this week, that's going to be a weekly occurrence, so every Wednesday. If you're looking for some social interaction, maybe want to meet a few faces or see people that you haven't seen and, well, since everything kind of shut down, this is a great opportunity to connect. Again, we want to thank you so much for joining us. We hope you have a super week, and we'll see you again soon. Bye, friends.
See you later.
Every single moment, even the little moments throughout the day where I can feel a little bit bored, just cram it full completely. What up, Shane? Join us as we continue to work through this series, Reset, and as we look at this whole book of Colossians, where the Apostle Paul, as we work through the jungle here, you're welcome for that. This is what you're supposed to give constant attention to. Hey, jungle, here we go.